Trump says Biden sees the country being invaded, warns of terrorists already inside the US. DHS cities immediate need to waive regulations, build border wall in Texas as illegal migration surges. Former President Trump said the Biden administration is only citing the immediate need to build a border wall because President Biden is watching the United States be invaded by illegal migrants, warning that terrorists are already inside the country. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas on Wednesday said there was an acute and immediate need to waive dozens of federal laws in order to build a border wall in South Texas where illegal migration was surged. DHS justified the move due to hide illegal entry. More than 245,000 migrant encounters have been recorded in the Rio Grande Valley sector this year. In an exclusive interview with Fox News Digital shortly after the DHS announcement, the former president, who leads the 2024 Republican primary field by a massive margin, blamed Biden for halting construction of the border wall and causing the crisis at the southern border. Quote to him: Biden sees the country is being invaded. I don't know how to imitate him. Biden sees our country being invaded, Trump said. What is he going to do about the 15 million people from prisons, from mental institutions, insane asylums, and terrorists that have already come into our country? The number of people arrested in FY 2023 between ports of entry by Border Patrol at the southern border who are on the FBI's terror watch list hit a new record this year, with 151 arrests in FY 23 compared to 98 in FY 22 and 15 in FY 21 at the ports of entry at the northern and southern border. There have been 505 people encountered by Customs and Border Protection's of field operations. The watch list, officially called a Terrorist Screening Dataset, CSDS, is the government's database that contains sensitive information on terrorist identities. The watch list originated to house information on known or suspect terrorists, but has evolved over the last decade to include additional individuals who represent a potential threat to the United States, including no affiliates of watch-listed individuals, CBP says. While the number is relatively small compared to the millions of immigrants encountered at the borders in recent years, Republicans and former borders officials have raised concern about the numbers of those on the terror watch list who are getting past Border Patrol agents. There were at least almost 600,000 illegal immigrants who escaped Border Patrol custody in FY 2022 after more than 390,000 in FY 2021. What has happened to our country? Trump said, adding that Biden administration needs to go back to Trump policies. He has to reinstate Remain in Mexico and Title 42, Trump said. He has to do all of the other things that we were doing. A Trump campaign spokesperson told Fox News Digital Wednesday night that President Trump is always right. That's why we built close to 500 miles of powerful new wall on border and it would have been finished by now, the spokesperson said. Instead, crooked Joe Biden turned our country into one giant sanctuary of dangerous criminal aliens. The comments come after the Department of Homeland Security posted an announcement Wednesday night on the U.S. Federal Register, which outlines construction in Stark County in the Rio Grande Valley sector. Mayorkas says he is using his authority provided by Congress to waive 26 federal laws, including the Clean Air Act, Safe Drinking Water Act, and Endangered Species Act. Quote, there is presently an acute and immediate need to construct physical barriers and roads in the vicinity of the border of the United States in order to prevent unlawful entries into the United States in the project areas pursuant to sections 102A and 102B of the Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act of 1996. Okay. A Customs and Border Protection spokesperson told that the project is consistent with DHS's plan to fulfill the requirements of President Biden's proclamation, which ended the diversion of funds for border wall from military projects or other sources while calling for the expenditure of any funds Congress appropriated for barrier construction consistent with their appropriated purpose. Their construction is funded by the FY 2019 DHS Appropriations Bill, which specifically funded wall projects in the RGV sector and which DHS is required to use for its appropriate purpose. Customs and Border Protection, the CBP, announced plans for up to 20 miles of wall in the RGV sector in June. The administration previously made moves to close gaps and replace gates, and says that such projects prioritize the completion of activities and projects that address life, safety, and operational risks, including the safety of individuals, border patrol agents, and immigrants. Okay. A CBP spokesperson confirmed that the waiver is for barrier projects announced in June and that it will cover approximately 17 miles in Stark County. The spokesperson said that the project is consistent with DHS plan to fulfill President Biden's Jan 2021 proclamation, which ended the diversion of funds for border wall from military projects or other sources while calling for the expenditure of any funds Congress appropriate for barrier construction consistent with their appropriate purpose. Quote, CBP remains committed to protecting the nation's cultural and natural resources and will implement sound environment practices as a part of the project covered by this waiver, the spokesperson said. The administration had put a halt to a new border wall construction in early 2021 after then candidate Biden had promised there would not be another foot of wall constructed on my administration. The administration said that wall construction under the Trump administration was just one example of the prior administration's misplaced priorities and failure to manage migration in safe, orderly, and human way. The announcement comes as the Biden administration is facing a fresh surge in illegal immigration, leading to record high numbers at the southern border and intense political criticism from both Republicans and Democrats. Customs and Border Protection sources told last week that there were more than 260,000 encounters in September, which would be the highest monthly total on record. Meanwhile, Trump last month vowed, if reelected, to carry out the largest domestic deportation operation in American history and promised to begin a second term by immediately terminating every open borders policy of Biden administration.